I decided to go ahead and purchase another glass canopy for this 10-gallon tank instead of the reflector light hood. And I've added some blue plastic under the LED to cut down on the light a little bit. You can see the blue plastic there. So it dims the light a little bit. It's still quite bright. And I'm not sure, I think I might actually prefer the yellow light on the shrimp tank. It certainly makes the shrimp stand out a lot better than a 6500K color temperature LED. 2700 isn't supposed to be ideal for aquaria, but anyway, I can always switch back at a later time. But one advantage of the glass canopy, the glass canopy lid leaves a lot more room for me, particularly in reaching in quickly and catching pest snails to remove them. This tank is highly infested with them, and if I use a snail trap, I'm afraid that would catch shrimp. I've also occasionally skewered a zucchini or cucumber on a tiny novelty fork on a fish line and caught some snails on that. That's one method. But these methods are basically like trying to empty the ocean with a teaspoon. The pest snails will always be able to hide in the gravel, and they'll continue to breed in this tank until I break it down. The single white cloud mountain minnow that I noticed a little over a week ago free swimming in the bedroom tank has been doing well on vinegar eels. I wonder if it's large enough to consume live brine shrimp nauplii. So I'm offering some of them today in hopes that it'll consume at least a few. There are numerous tiny organisms in the tank for it to consume, in addition to the vinegar eels that I'm offering on a regular basis. And today I was very pleased to see that the white clouds bred again, and I managed to move 3 or 4 fry from the bedroom tank into this one. So hopefully they will consume the vinegar eels as a first food, and eventually I'll have juvenile white clouds to move back into the bedroom tank, possibly 1 or 2 other tanks. If my week-old white cloud fry devoured any brine shrimp nauplii, I didn't notice. So for it, and definitely for the newest fry, I'm adding the vinegar eels from a coffee filter. Now I found, for me, collecting the vinegar eels by straining them through a coffee filter in a cone works better than using the bottleneck method with filter floss. Each to his own. But using this method, I'm also able to strain some fresh water through the coffee filter and get rid of most of the vinegar. I don't want to be adding all that acid to the shrimp tank for fear that that would be detrimental for them. Here you can see the larger white cloud mountain minnow fry and perhaps a couple of the small ones. The larger one's stomach is nice and full, so it's doing quite well. Hopefully the hatchlings will consume vinegar eels and other macroorganisms in this shrimp tank until such time as they're able to consume the brine shrimp nauplii, at which point they should be quite viable. I'd like to see how Dwarf Sagittario will do in this tank. So I removed one plant from the bedroom tank. I just want to try one, because if this is a failure, I hate to lose more than one, but I do believe, as heavily fertilized as this tank is, with potting soil and compost, it should do nicely, as long as the roots can reach through the black aquarium gravel to the rich substrate below. The cherry shrimp are doing quite well in this tank. I have many young, so they're breeding. Slowly the shrimplets are beginning to color up, and I'm noticing them more and more. About the tank, they have so much plant cover that it's often difficult to pick them out. But they're in there. I was considering moving more to the tank from the 10-gallon shrimp tank, but I think this colony is making a good go of it. I've recently done some research on cherry shrimp and how they are reported to revert to the wild type and lose their nice red coloration due to inbreeding, and at least one aquarist says that's not the case. It's kind of like suddenly getting a wolf in a brood of poodles. The cherry shrimp are not going to lose their nice red coloration. Now I haven't done a lot of research to find if inbreeding eventually causes them other difficulties. Of course, a wild type is going to be much more resilient, resistant to disease and so forth. But I've heard of colonies of cherry shrimp that have been going for years and years, and they don't seem to have inbreeding difficulties due to genetics that are causing them any great distress. So I might just allow my shrimp to continue to carry on the colonies without getting any new stock. In fact, getting new stock can be a problem because wild type shrimp may be among them. It's difficult to tell a wild type cherry shrimp male from the nice red ones because the males tend to stay small and don't get nice and big and red like the females. Bye for updates to see how Dwarf Sagittaria does in this setup.